Bonjour, 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 and welcome back to my channel, The Waves of Your Soul. Today's video is going to be a good old-fashioned deck haul. I've got some new tarot decks and oracle decks that I wanted to share with you that have joined my collection in the last couple of months. And as we are in the middle of Tarot Vlogmas, I'm posting one video every 2 days on my channel. I really wanted to share my new goodies with you, something very chilled. We can just hang out together. You can tell me in the comments the decks you've been enjoying using yourselves, tarot, oracle. We have a nice little chat. The theme for this deck haul is definitely fantasy decks. It's decks that take you to another world. I guess I was in a mood when I was putting in my orders. We're stepping into some dream world, we're escaping into fantasy world, and it's just gonna be a lot of fun to discover those decks together. So if you're new here, I want to say a huge welcome. My name is Marine. I'm a French tarot reader. On my channel, I love talking about tarot and oracle decks, and I also love reading the cards. It's my love language. It's what brings me life. So if you'd like to see any of those things on your timeline, make sure to subscribe. Like I said, we're in the middle of Vlogmas. At the moment, there's one video every 2 days, so it's a great time to join. I'm trying to make the month of December as magical as possible, as I know it's not necessarily a fun month for everybody. As per usual, in the description box you're gonna find all the names of the decks I'm mentioning, as well as my other social media links and other videos of mine you might want to check out. So now I've done my good YouTuber intro, let's get into this fun little haul. So something I mention in most of my deck hauls, but that bears repeating, is that I live on a tropical island, a little island in the Indian Ocean, and so when I put orders in, some decks can take few weeks, some decks can take few months. I've had decks over a year to arrive to where I live, and because most of the posts come by boat, it usually all arrives at once, even though it might be orders that I've put over months, years even in the making. They usually arrive over the course of a week because of when the boat arrives, right? When the cargo arrives to the island, my post box get full, and then I don't get anything for a couple of months, and then I get another batch in. So there's gonna be a mix today of decks that I've ordered recently and some that I've ordered months and months and months ago, and I'll explain to you all of that as we go. And another thing I wanted to mention is that some decks are super new. I've literally just received them in my mailbox, so we're gonna be discovering them together. Some of them I've had for a few weeks already, but they arrived after I did my last deck haul, so I still wanted to include them. Those I would have been using already quite a bit, so they won't be first impressions, they'll already be mini reviews, and again I'll explain as we go. Let's start with a deck I've been playing with for at least 3 weeks already. This is something I've been using, but you haven't seen it on my channel yet. Something I've been having a lot of fun exploring and discovering, and it's called Lorac De Mar by Lucy and Raphael. Those are, I think, pseudonyms. This is an indie deck. It's a French indie deck, and as the name suggests, the Lorac De Marseille, or the Oracle of Marseille, is an oracle deck inspired by Le Tarot de Marseille. So this is actually super unique, super fun. I don't have anything like this in my collection, and it's something I'm super excited. I've been really enjoying exploring, and I'm super excited to finally share it with you guys, because like I said, I've been using it behind the scenes, but I've not shared it with you yet. So I'm glad to finally be doing that, because I think a lot of you will enjoy it. And then there's no guidebook, there's just one of those leaflets that you can unfold, but the website is amazing, and the website is where most of the information is, and the website is bilingual. So that's why this deck I think is really cool, and a lot of you might enjoy it, is because even though the titles of the cards are in French, you'll see first of all that it's very easy to understand what's going on in the card. I think it's super intuitive, and on top of that, the website is so full of information, and it's both in French and English. For each card you get a full page on their website. They explain every choices they've done. I've been like reading the website and taking notes as well, so making my own little guidebook, and it's been really great to get to know the deck. But I do think that they are also working on a physical book that they might be releasing next year. I feel like I've read something about that, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, the website for now is great, full of info, and definitely check it out. Even before you get the deck, it's worth reading the website so you get a feel for the deck and see if you would enjoy working with this particular oracle. Here are the backs, and the sides are gold edges. It's quite glossy. As you can see, the cardstock is very glossy, so that's one thing to note. So this is an oracle deck, but it has 78 cards, just like the tarot deck would have. So I love that. First of all, you know I love big oracle decks. The more cards, the better. There's something super enjoyable about having lots of cards. I can be greedy like that, so I like bigger decks. And what made me fall in love with this deck was the idea of having first an oracle that is inspired by Tarot de Marseille, because it's not something we see ever. I don't think I've ever seen something like that. So already in terms of the aesthetic, I find it super appealing. This is fantastic for all of those of you out there who enjoy Tarot de Marseille, because finding an oracle to pair with the TDM can be a little bit tricky sometimes, but this is truly the perfect choice, right? Because aesthetically speaking and the energy of it, it just matches the Tarot de Marseille so well. On top of that, the 78 cards are full of archetypes that are super interesting. In some of them we find original concepts that dates back to the Eteia deck, for example. So we have the Virtue, for example. Some of them are recalling tarot. There's a couple that remind us of tarot cards. There's a Wheel of Fortune, I believe there's a Death card, there is a Fool, but also a lot of them, the majority of them, are inventions, creations from the artist. So here we have, I don't know how you call that in English, someone who can bend over in the circus, someone who's super flexible and stuff. I don't know how you call that. This is a present moment. Here we have Freedom, the Lovers, so that's a node to the tarot. We have Beliefs, the Illusionist, which can remind us of the Magician card very much, or Le Battler. We have Manipulations, the Hangman here, the Enchantress. This is the Bard. I love this card. I love this particular energy. We have the Artist, the Animal, the Fool. Again, an inspiration from the TDM, the Tarot de Marseille, but obviously it looks very different. We have Mysteries. So there's definitely like a mix between inspiration from the original Tarot de Marseille and then of course additional concepts, archetypes the creators invented that are still matching and incorporating into the traditional world of the TDM. And I have been really enjoying working with this deck. Like I said, it's 78 cards, so it's fantastic to pair with tarot. It is very rich, very in-depth, and like I said, the website is very full of information. Like if you want to be doing a deep dive of an oracle deck, this is the deck for you. You go on the website, they explain all the choices, all the symbolisms, the colors, how the cards speak to each other. There's a lot of thought that was put behind this deck. You can tell that the people who created this have been working on it for a long time, and you just can tell that they're passionate about their work, and you feel the influence from not just the Tarot de Marseille but alchemical concepts. We have some occult knowledge, occult symbolism. It's very interesting. I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface. It's something I'm really excited to pair with my Tarot de Marseille. I got more into the Tarot de Marseille this year than I did previously. It's something I'm starting to really enjoy reading with, really enjoy using. I always love the aesthetic of it. Obviously, as a French person, I could always appreciate the beauty of it, the historical quality of it. I always appreciated it, but this year I'm actually enjoying using it to read with, which wasn't always the case. Here we have the Death card, which might be one of my favorite cards of the deck. It's just super awesome. This Death card playing the trumpet here, so great. I love this. And yeah, so I'm super excited to pair this with my Tarot de Marseille, like I was saying, and I think a lot of you will enjoy this. I think a lot of you historical buffs out there will enjoy this interpretation, mixing tradition with something more new. Next up in this haul is a deck that's not technically new. I've had this for a few months and I've actually been using it consistently, but I hadn't shared it on my channel yet. I think it arrived just after I did my last haul, and that is the Twick Tarot. This is a 10th anniversary re-edition, so this is an indie deck and this is a very special deck. Like I was saying, I've been using it since the beginning of November. You might have seen this if you watched my 5 tarot decks challenge. I mentioned it there. I will leave the link to that video up there if you haven't seen it. It's the first video I shared during my Vlogmas extravaganza, so if you haven't seen that, it's a fun little tag. We share 5 different decks on 5 different themes. I'll leave it in the card somewhere. But here are the backs of the Twick. Here the sides are gold again, and of course it comes with a little guidebook. Before we get into the deck, I will say the one thing I don't like is the guidebook because even though the information in there is fantastic, it's super small written, and I don't even have a bad eyesight, but even I struggle. And the choices of color are often very difficult to read because a lot of the time you have orange on orange. So here, for example, I can't actually read what's written here. It's super difficult because brown or orange on brown orange is just impossible to read. So that's the part I don't like. In terms of the deck, I really enjoy it. It's been keeping me company, like I was saying, for most of November, and I'm continuing to use it in December. This is a very special deck, and it's a deck that is requiring a certain mood, because as you're gonna see, this is taking you around different rooms in a house. Like we're entering this kind of like haunted, abandoned house where there's no humans, it's just the rooms, the different rooms we enter, there's gardens, and then we visit the different parts, and each room or part of a room corresponds to a different card, a different tarot card or a different concept. This is very unique, like there's no humans, it's just landscape, but I don't think you can even say landscape because it's inside a house, so maybe it's just decor. I don't know how I would say it. It's definitely one of the most unique decks that I own, and it requires a certain mood for sure, but it's still a deck that surprised me a lot because originally when I pre-ordered this, and I pre-ordered this I don't know, months ago, quite a few months to arrive to me, so this is one of those that definitely was traveling around the ether for a good few months before it arrived. But when I originally pre-ordered it, I was convinced that this would be a great deck for spirit reading, for channeling, for speaking to you know, the beloved dead's ancestors, the other side of the veil, because it has a very haunting quality in terms of the artwork. It looks like it could be great for spirit readings, and I'm sure it could, but from using it the last few weeks, I've realized that actually this deck just wants to talk to me about material things, about being in the present moment, about my day-to-day life, the things I can touch, smell, feel, and it's actually a very grounded deck. And I guess it's because you are in a house, you're visiting different rooms, and those different rooms could correspond to a different part of yourself. It turns out this deck actually sings a lot, for me anyway, when I do readings about day-to-day things, life that is just day-to-day life, practical matters. And it's funny because that's not originally why I bought it, and it's actually what it ends up wanting to work for me anyway. So this is something I've been using kind of like on the daily recently, just for particularly, like I was saying, day-to-day practical matters. This is a very beloved deck in the community. I'm sure you've seen it a lot already. It was out of print for a while because sadly the creator passed away, and then I think his brother picked up his work and re-released the deck, and this is the 10th year anniversary edition. That's the one I have. So his brother is continuing his legacy, and I think that's wonderful. This is the kind of deck that requires to get to know, I think, a little bit, that requires a certain silence almost in order to hear what it has to say. It's not a very loud voice, but it's a voice that's very comforting and secure. That's the best way I could say it. If this was a person, I think this would be a Taurus, you know, someone who's very stable, grounded, secure, comforting, isn't necessarily the most loud person in the room, but will always tell you what you need to hear at the right time. I think that would be my impression of the deck. I've really been enjoying it. I've not included this in my favorite decks of the year because it's arrived quite late in the year, and I felt like I didn't have enough use of it to make a proper decision and ranking. So you won't see it in my favorite decks of the year because, like I said, it arrived too late for me to feel like it was fair to include it. But just know that as we are towards the end of the year, it's one that I've been really enjoying discovering, really enjoying exploring. And again, I think it's one that has a lot to say, that you need to take your time with, getting to know slowly but surely in order to appreciate all the details and all the nuances that it has to offer. The last deck in this haul that I'm included as part of new but not necessarily super new is a deck that I've already been using quite a lot for the last couple of weeks. Oh my god, you guys. This is Le Tarot Arthurien by Claire Duval, and the illustrations are by Arthurien. This is so great. so fantastic. It's a French mass market deck, and I've received it beginning of December, so I've been using it consistently ever since. And this, again, I've not ranked it in my favorite tarot decks of the year because it didn't feel super fair considering still getting to know it. If you've watched my channel before, you know I'm very thorough when I get to know a deck, like before I give my opinions and stuff. If it's a whole, it's first impressions, but if I'm doing a review or anything like that, or if I'm sharing with you my final thoughts, I need to have worked with it. I feel like I've not used it enough to be able to rank it properly in my favorite tarot of the years, and yet in the only 2 weeks I've had, it's made a huge impression, because it's another one that definitely potentially benefit from deep study. So expect to see a review of this deck on my channel. I'm working with it right now. I've been reading the guidebook, I've been using it every day, journaling, doing the journal propositions that we have here. I've been deep diving it so I can give you a full review soon, so watch out for that. Like I said, this is a French mass market deck. This is by Claire Duval, who goes as Claire de la Lune on YouTube and on Instagram. She's a very prolific French creator, tarot reader, tarot teacher. I adore everything that Claire does. I love her decks, I love her channel, I love her work. And of course, a lot of you will be familiar with Arthurien. She's a very famous illustrator. She's done quite a lot of decks, the Oracle of Echoes, the Tarot of the Abyss, all of those. So this particular combo is amazing, and as the title suggests, Le Tarot Arthurien, this is the Arthurian Tarot. So it's a tarot inspired by the Arthurian legends, right? Camelot and the King Arthur. So I've been following Claire's channels for years. Before I was on YouTube, I was already watching her videos, and then in the last few months when she was sharing her work on this deck, I was following along on her videos, and I was just so excited for this deck to come out. So I had planned to go to the bookshop to go buy this the week that it came out for me where I live. I had planned to go with a friend to the local bookshop to pick some books up, but for me I especially wanted this, and literally the day before I went to the bookshop I found this in my mailbox. I didn't even know this was sent to me, and Claire had very kindly sent me a copy. I was super grateful because I was literally on my way to pick this up because there was no way I was gonna miss this. This was something that I had been following for months and that I was so excited to get into. So first I want to say a huge thank you to Claire and her publisher for sending this to me, and again I'm working on a deep dive for you guys to share with you everything, my experience working with the deck, what the guidebook has to say, because truly this is an immersion to another world. I mean, yes, the images are beautiful. If you enjoy this particular world of like medieval times and stepping into the past with a touch of magic, obviously fairy magic, then you would love this. But on top of that, this is just an intense work of historical research and of, I would say, lore research around the Arthurian legends, and you can tell that Claire has been working so much behind the scenes from everything that she's sharing in the guidebook. This is truly a fantastic deck if you not only just enjoy the Arthurian legends and the Celtic legends and all of those, but if you also love a great guidebook and you love to go deep with your decks, because let me tell you, this guidebook is probably one of the best guidebook I've read this year, and that's a big statement because I love a good guidebook. I read all the guidebooks, even the little white ones, the little low scarabeo ones, I still give them a shot. Huge full page colored pictures of Anna's illustrations, which is amazing. We really can get into the illustration and it's so beautiful. On top of that, like I was saying, Claire's research, the work that she's put behind, is so interesting. For every single card you have a little poem or a prayer, you have references to the traditional Golden Dawn titles, and then obviously this is in French, right? Because this is a French deck. And then you have the symbolism is broken down. So for example, for the Emperor, we have why is there the red color, why is there a dragon, why is there a crown, why is there a throne, why is there a sword. All the symbolism on the card is broken down. Then it explains here who's the person on the card here. So for the Emperor, Claire has chosen Arthur, obviously, Arthur Pendragon. So here it explains a little bit about Arthur, his myth, his lore, who he is. And then we have a bit about what it means, the Emperor card in Tarot. And then you have upwards keywords and key phrases, downwards keywords and key phrases, and then you have journaling prompt, and you have a mantra that's linked to your sacred quest. And you have that for every single card, even the minors. And this is just so fantastic, the work that's been put behind. We have so many great spreads here. We have a full biography with a ton of references and sources you could go to if you're interested about the Arthurian myth. Honestly, this is just amazing. Like I said, I'm working on a review, so I don't want to share too much. Let me tell you, this is an absolute gem. Okay, the next 4 decks actually all arrived in the last 2 days. So we're gonna be discovering them together because I've not actually had a chance to read with them, obviously. Like, they just arrived. I think a ship must have arrived to the island and I'm getting a lot of decks at once. And the first one, you guys are gonna laugh so much because I finally received my Halloween deck, even though we are at the time of me filming early December. It's the 4th of December, and here is my Halloween deck that I finally received. And you know when I ordered this? In August. Because I thought to myself, okay, Marine, you know decks can take ages to come to you, so you need to order it early so that you can get it before Halloween. I ordered this on the 1st of August and it arrived on the 2nd of December. So I guess not so much the mood anymore, and yet I'm super pumped for this. This is a Trick or Treat Tarot by Barbara Moore and Jonathan Hunt. This is a mass market deck. It's a Llewellyn, I believe. Yeah, Llewellyn. And like I said originally, this was supposed to be my Halloween deck for the year. It arrived over a month too late, but you know what? It doesn't really matter because this is not just a Halloween deck. I think this could be great all year long because for me, it's also a pop culture deck. And if you know me, you know I love pop culture, so I'm still gonna be enjoying it and I'll definitely be using it before next Halloween. The first reason why I got this deck is because I love Barbara Moore's guidebook. I think that she's one of my favorite guidebook writers out there. I love everything that she writes. There's just something so enchanting about her writing, about her way to look at the cards. So obviously that was a big part of why I wanted this, because I know with her guidebooks I'm always gonna have a good time. It's always gonna be an enjoyable read and it's always something I really enjoy. I'm actually considering picking up the older fairy deck that she did. What is it called? In French it's called Le Monde Ésotérique des Fées. It's like the fairy, esoteric fairy deck. It's got another huge guidebook from Barbara Moore. I'm thinking of picking it up because they've just re-released it in French and I'd love to know if you guys have it, if you enjoy it. Let me know, should I pick it up or not? I'm undecided, but I'd love to have your thoughts on this one because it's one I've been thinking about for ages, and like I said, it's coming back in French, so I thought maybe I should check it out. So let me know if you have it. But anyway, I've already read all the majors. Last night I was in bed, I read all the majors. Tonight I'm gonna continue reading the minors. I just enjoy her guidebooks. They're just an enjoyable read, so that's one of the reasons why I picked this up. The other reason obviously is for the cards. I mean, I'll just share with you some images, but I feel like a lot of you guys know this deck already. Yes, even though this is technically Halloween and Halloween is over, we're in the middle of Christmas season now, and definitely still see myself using this from now on and for the next future months, because this is not just Halloween, it's also very pop culture. I mean, there's like people dressed as the Matrix, here we go. There's some people dressed as like Disney characters, or we have the Monopoly Man here. There's a lot of like pop culture references, and I love pop culture decks, so for that reason I can see this being kind of timeless, to be honest. On top of that, it's something I always say on my channel, but spooky season is a state of mind, right? For me, when Halloween arrives where I live in October, it's not fall, it's actually spring, so things feel very strange, and I always have kind of like a Halloween vibe for me around like May, June, because that's my autumn for me, even though I live on a tropical island, so autumn, it just means it's less hot than super hot. But you know what I mean? Spooky season for me doesn't really have to do with Halloween being on the 31st of October. It's more about just when you feel like you want to dive into something spooky and fun. This looks like a good time, and that's honestly what I'm asking for it. I don't ask for this to be super deep or anything. I just ask for this to be a good time, to be fun. I feel like this could be definitely a contender for good mood decks. A lot of you would already have it. If you do, I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know if you've been using it for Halloween, or do you use it all year long? What are your thoughts? Share with us in the comment, we can have a good chat. Remember at the beginning of the video I said the theme for this haul is fantasy, escaping to another world. Well, we've already escaped to Avalon and the land of Merlin and Vivian and Morgan Le Fay with the Tarot Arthurien. And now with the next few decks I'm gonna share with you, we're definitely stepping into, again, dream world, other world, fantasy world, and it's something I really enjoy in my tarot decks. And I've got 3 really strong contenders here. So the first one is actually the Monsoon Tarot. So this, again, it arrived like 2 days ago. So this is an indie deck I got from Etsy. It comes with a guidebook. The guidebook, it's both in Chinese and in English. Very basic. We only have a couple of keywords, upwards and downwards, for each of the cards. So the guidebook is nothing huge, nothing deep. You can get this deck in 2 different forms. I think there's like a deluxe version in a box that you can open, you know, that 2-piece box. And then there's this regular version that's cheaper that comes in a tug box. I just cared about the card, so I didn't pay for the extra deluxe, but I will say my box is a little bit damaged already, so that's just the law of the game. Though tug boxes are not necessarily the most durable. And I got this on Etsy. I got it from the same website, Vermilion Collection. I think it's the same people that did the Land of Stories Tarot, which is one of my favorite tarot decks this year. You'll see it ranked in my best tarot decks of the year. It's the same shop that did this one, and they stock some really amazing decks. This is the second deck I got from this particular shop, and I'm obsessed because they've got some great choices. Anyway, so I'll leave the link to them down below. I'm not sponsored or anything, I'm just sharing the love, because on top of that they offer free shipping to where I live, and that is music to my ear. As soon as I see free shipping, I'm like, take my money. So the Monsoon Tarot is actually a deck I had seen around on the community maybe like 4 or 5 months ago. I had seen a couple of pictures, especially I think I had seen the pictures where there was no heads, like this for example. And there's quite a few images that have people with like spirals instead of their heads. And at the time, I don't know why, it just put me off. I saw a couple of images, I don't think I even watched a full walkthrough, and I was like, nah, don't like it, next. Literally, just wrote it off. And then like I said, I was looking at this particular shop because I had loved the Land of Stories so much, and I saw they stocked this one, and I started to watch some reviews and walkthroughs more recently. And watching especially, I think it was Larkin Legends walkthrough. If I remember, I leave their channel down below. His walkthrough of this deck was amazing, and it really helped me decide. And so from watching a few walkthroughs among this one, I suddenly realized like, whoa, Maureen, you're an idiot. This is so beautiful, and I don't know why you said no before, because this is actually super stunning and super interesting and everything that you love. So sometimes I can be stupid and write stuff off if I'm not in the right mood for it, and then I revisit it few months, sometimes even few years later, and I'll completely change my mind on the deck, and suddenly I'm ready to give it a shot. And this was the case for this one. This is definitely a very unique deck. Like, I think it follows the RWS. We have the same names of the arcana, I don't think it's been renamed, and then the suits are actually element based, so we have fire, air, water, etc. So in that sense it's easy to know where you're at, but in terms of the artwork, it's definitely inviting you to step into a dream world, and in the dream world not everything makes sense, and sometimes in dreams we see people very clearly, we see things very clearly, but sometimes things are blurry, and sometimes we can't even remember our dreams after we wake up. I mean, I'm very lucky, I dream a lot, and I remember my dreams pretty much all the time, and I've always remembered my dreams ever since I've been a child. But I know that sometimes when we dream, some faces can feel blurry, and so that's how I've personally started to interpret those particular cards, looking at them, seeing all the cards where there's no faces. Now I'm thinking, well, it makes sense. Like, at first it bothered me, but then looking back at the walkthroughs and now looking at the deck, I'm like, it does make sense. It's supposed to invite you into the world of dreams, of the oniric, all of that. Sometimes we see people but we don't really know who they are. Sometimes we see strangers in our dreams. That's happened to me all the time. I mean, it's like people that you don't really know in real life, but you see them in your dreams. And so what used to really bother me about the deck when I first saw it, now I really appreciate it. It's a deck I think I will be working especially for dream interpretation, because it's something I really enjoy doing. Some of the cards are just absolutely stunning that when I was looking at it yesterday and flipping through them, it just blew me away. Like I had to pause and take a moment because I was just gobsmacked. Like this Hierophant might be my favorite Hierophant I've ever seen. My life card is a Hierophant, like I'm a number 5. When I break down my birth date, I get number 5 as the card. My life path is 5, so my birth card is the Hierophant. And 8 times out of 10, I don't like Hierophant cards in deck. They can be super boring, always showing the same. It's one that people don't necessarily review a lot, although it's starting to get better. But with this particular one, wow, this is a Hierophant I can get behind. It's gorgeous. One of my favorite. Let me find it. I think we looked at it earlier. Look at that. It's so beautiful. It's giving me a little bit Frozen vibe, like Frozen the Disney, and I'm kind of here for it. This is one I can see myself using, like I said, along working with dreams, dream interpretation, working with my intuition and with my imagination. I'm really pumped to get to know this one. Another very new deck that again arrived a couple of days ago that is very fantasy-like, dream-like, and one that I've never seen mentioned anywhere. So this is one that I kind of took a chance on because I couldn't find any reviews online. I could barely find some pictures on Instagram, but I had seen it on Etsy and I was super curious. And again, the creator had free shipping on their Etsy page, so I was like, say no more, take my money. I'll take a chance for the team. And I'll do it for science. So I got this one for science purposes to find out what it was, if I liked it, if I didn't like it. And this is the Carrot Tarts deck. It's called Carrot Tarts. I'll leave the link for it on Etsy down below. Let's just get over with the thing I don't like. This box. It's cute because it's got that homemade feel, and that's really sweet. It feels very homemade. It feels very like DIY, and I think that's sweet. In terms of practicality, it's not ideal. I mean, it already came kind of broken when it shipped, and the cards are much smaller than the box. The cards are regular tarot size, but the box is way too big for them. So it comes in this particular paper, and you get your cards like this. And as you can see, the box is much bigger than the card. So I'm sharing it with you so you can see how it goes, but this is gonna go in the bin, and this is gonna go into a little pouch because I can't with this box situation. It's too annoying. That being said, the deck in itself is so cute, so interesting, that I'm actually super pumped that I've taken a chance on this, and I don't regret it at all. Here are the backs. There's no sides. In terms of the cardstock though, it's matte and it's super flexible, so if you like to riffle shuffle, you would really enjoy that, I think. Like I said, when I got this deck, it was pure chance. I hadn't seen any walkthrough. I had found a couple of pictures on Instagram. I had seen, obviously, the pictures that they share on Etsy, and I knew it was a pip deck, but there was something about the artwork that really called me in, that really attracted me, especially this kind of like, again, fantasy type. We have some beings that are fae like, mermaid like, that feel like they belong in a magical forest. We have some angels and some devils, and there's something about this that just makes me think like I've stepped into a D&D campaign or like a fantasy book. The second thing I've discovered from flipping through the deck yesterday is that it's the same characters that you find along the deck. They will appear again and again, so you're stepping into this world that's actually very well builded because you see the same people interacting with each other, being in different cards, helping each other, etc. So for example, here you can see in the chariot we have the Fool, and you recognize them from this pointy hat, the pointy ears, their t-shirt and stuff, and they're riding this particular being, the chariot, who you will find again later in the deck. So if you take your time and you look at all the people or being that you find in the deck, you'll realize that they appear in the majors and that they appear in the court cards, and so it gives this consistent, well-constructed world that is just so enjoyable to step into. Because I think when I do a reading and I'll see several of the same being in different cards, it's just gonna add another layer to my reading that I'm really excited to get into, and I think it's gonna be really interesting to explore. Like, I think the Sun is also the he is also the hanged one. Let's see. I mean, I don't know them, but yeah, there you go. See, just from looking at it again now, the hanged one is in the Sun card as well. So imagine you were to pull 3 cards and you see the same character in 2 of them. You could project yourself as being this being, for example. Like, there's just something really enjoyable and profound about that. The minors, like I was saying, are pips. but I think in terms of pips, there are definitely pips that have a lot of intention behind them, that have a lot of feeling behind them. Definitely not boring or lazy, which is something that I can sometimes reproach pip decks. Sometimes pip decks, I feel they're lazy. The 9 cups, they just put 9 cups. It's like, come on, you could have done something a little bit different. Here, it makes sense. Like, it's pips, but you can see it, and you can definitely understand that the person who created this deck understands tarot, understand how to read numerologically. Again, we have the little fool as the Knight of Wands, and I understand that. See, the Fool and Knight of Wands for me have a very similar energy. Spontaneous, little firecracker, sometimes acting before they think. It's very Fool-like, but it's also very Knight of Wands-like. So I think the association they've done between majors and court cards, super clever. And again, I've only had this deck for like 2 days, so I've only been looking at it. I've not used it, so I can't give you my full review or anything like that. But like I was saying, just looking at it and noticing those people traveling. The Queen of Swords, I think, is the Empress. Let me go back. We'll have a look. I'm not going to do that for the whole deck because I've got other decks to share with you. But yeah, see, the Empress here turn into the Queen of Swords here. And I think that's super interesting because the Empress already has the sword, but the eyes are not on her dress yet. So at this moment, she's tapping into her nurturing side, her abundant side, her earthy side, all of that, but she's got the tool so that when she needs to see the truth with the eyes, when she needs to see the things clearly and make clear-cut decision, she's got that sword and she can use it. So this dialogue between the court cards and the majors and the minor, definitely Pepsi pips. Like, look at this 5 of Cups. It's pips, but it makes sense. We see the disappointment here, but we also see we've still got 2 glasses up. For the 9 of Cups, we have all kind of cups that you would drink tea or coffee out of, which I think brings this idea of coziness, chill, spending time with your friends, having a nice cup of tea, taking care of yourself, self-care, self-love. Definitely themes around the 9 of Cups. For the 10 of Cups, as you can see, the cups are very different from this one. Like, this is a lot more around the kind of drinks you would share with people outside, like socializing. We have cocktail glasses and beers. So this is a lot more cozy kind of cups. This is a lot more social. And I think they speak well to both the 9 and the 10. Very clever. I'm super excited to get into it, to get to know it more. And I'm just enjoying discovering all the hidden nuggets that there is here. The one thing I didn't enjoy, like I said, is the box. That's easily fixed. I'm just gonna put it in a bag. I didn't mention it, but as you can see, the cards have different borders, especially for the suit. It's color coded. The majors are all different kind of colored borders. So this carrot tart is definitely a unique, fun, whimsical hidden gem. Super interesting. I'm very excited to get to know it better, and of course I'll come back to you with my further thoughts in future videos. The last deck from today's haul and the last invitation to step into a fantasy world, to escape to another dimension, is actually the Dreams Within Dreams Tarot. So I ordered this deck months ago and there was actually a little problem with my shipping. It was sent back to the creator, so they had to send it again. And I want to say that they were super nice because of the whole like shipping delay and everything. They actually included a lot of goodies to make up for this shipping delay that they had. So they sent me this beautiful print here, which I love. Actually, it's been sitting on my desk, but I've just put it out to share with you. We had some cute little goodies here, Nap Enthusiast, and this little phone pluggy thing. And they even included this beautiful bag as a way to apologize for the shipping delay, which I thought was super, super sweet. So honestly, in terms of customer service from this creator, 10 out of 10. They were really kind, really sweet. And again, I leave their Etsy shop down below. I'm not sponsored or anything. I paid with all of this with my own money. But when I have a good experience with creators or with shopping, I'm telling and I'm sharing with you. So first off, I just wanted to say how grateful I was from the kindness of this particular creator. This deck, you guys, I am so excited about. I've been waiting for it for a few months. Like I said, there was a whole shopping delay and stuff. It's an indie deck, if I've not mentioned it. And it's a deck I originally saw on Chanel's channel, Spirited Stardust. I'll leave the link to her channel down below. If you're not watching her, you're missing out because she's because she's really sweet and I really enjoy her videos, and she has great taste in decks. So I'll leave her channel down below, but I discovered it on her channel. So the guidebook comes, it's quite short. For each of the card we have a little bit of a blurb, and we have some keywords upwards and reversed. And this is actually a deck that was created by several different artists, and that's something normally that I don't enjoy. I don't really vibe with the whole different artist kind of vibe. There's something about a deck that's been created by different artists that sometimes feels like the artwork is too inconsistent and I can't get into it as a tarot deck. The one exception so far for me has been the Vox Arcana Tarot, and now this one. And the only reason why this one and the Vox Arcana Tarot work for me is because they, even though they're from different artists, the world building feels consistent. Like everything here feels like it could belong in the same world, on the same planet, in the same dimension. And so for that reason, it works. And I don't really notice the different art style, to be honest. Even though we can definitely see, like, for example, those two different, or those two different, but it doesn't bother me because honestly I fell in love with it as soon as I saw it on Chanel's video. Like, I saw that she was flipping through it, she had some cards, and I fell in love with it instantly. There was something about this deck, the artwork, the world building, the fantasy style that just called me in, and it was pure crush, like instant crush. Ordered it straight away, which normally I don't really do. Usually things sit on my wish list for a while before I pull the plug. This one I didn't even watch a full walkthrough. I was just like, let's go, I need this, add to cart. And you know what, I'm so excited it finally arrived, because I can feel already the energy from this deck, that it just feels like we're gonna get along. I already know we're gonna get along. This is everything I love. It's fantasy inspired, we have some mythological references, it's very dreamlike. It's an invitation to expand your mind, to escape to somewhere else. Watch my channel before, you know I adore fantasy decks and all of that. Follow the RWS quite closely, I think, definitely. If you're familiar with the RWS, you wouldn't have an issue working with this at all. Can we talk about how beautiful this Seven of Coins is? Come on, it's so gorgeous. I did notice that all the kings are animals, I think. Let me check. I think in all the kings we have animals. Yeah, King of Cups is a dragon. King of Coins is a turtle with a world on their back. I think that's referring to mythology, right? There's like definitely a myth around a turtle carrying the world on their back. King of Swords is this beautiful creature here. And for the King of Wands we have a phoenix. I know that can bother some people when kings are not humans. I don't mind, especially because in the guidebook I read that this was inspired by both animes that they watched when they were little, mythology from where they come from. Like, there's lots of different inspiration here that make up this beautiful world building. And you know what, I'm just absolutely in love. So you can choose, I forgot to say, there's two different kinds of this deck. You can get the gold one, or you can get the same with like silver holo, and I think it also changes the sides. I got the gold one, but I think you can get silver. This is everything I was hoping. Prepare to see it in my future videos. The deck I use for the new year, for January and everything. I'm just so pumped. I think I might even do my year ahead with it, because I'm just so excited to finally have it in my hands. There's something about it that really calls to me. I don't know what, I can't put my hands on it, but I'm just super pumped. Love this Queen of Wands, it's giving Pele vibes, and I love this goddess. I live on an island with a big volcano, so volcano rocks. Okay, my friends, this is it. This was my deck haul. I hope you enjoyed seeing my new decks, and I hope you've been enjoying all the content that's coming out for Vlogmas. Let me know in the comments what new decks you've gotten, or the decks you've been enjoying lately, or the decks you're getting rid of. Just have a chat in the comments. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you so much. And until my next video, I'm sending you so much good vibes, and keep navigating the waves of your soul. Bye!